Genetic or genomic?
Genomic. These days, the prevailing view is that cancer is indeed a disease of the genome.
What do you mean? Is there a difference between a genetic disease and a genomic disorder?
Our genome is not static. The original genome that was in our zygote, the single cell that we all started as, is not identical to the billions of genomes that we have in our cells.
Because of mutations that happen when cells replicate, right?
Right. In each replication of the genetic material, there is chance for mutations to occur. And this chance grows under the influence of different environmental and behavioral conditions such as smoking and exposure to sun, and that leads to cancer.
On the other hand, there is a clear inherited factor in cancer. There are many examples of cancer that runs in families.
In order to explain this phenomenon, one needs to understand the scientific context. The big picture here is the interplay between the genetic predisposition to cancer and the amount of mutations one accumulates over the lifetime. And this is why cancer is not considered a genetic disease, but rather a disease of the genome.
So, if cancer is a disease of a genome, based on genetic predisposition and mutations, it is actually less of a disease of an organ as we usually view it.
Right.
Still, today, we base cancer classification mostly at the tissue or organ level, although this view is becoming somewhat outdated. Actually, with new molecular tools that we have and sequencing of cancer genomes, which is becoming more and more common, we often find that a patient, for example, with lung cancer actually has mutations that are typical of another cancer.
Clearly, such observations can lead to a much better therapy, one that is more personalized to the genome of each individual.
Furthermore, novel approaches to cancer attempt to enhance the ability of the immune system to attack cancer cells by various methods. This may actually mean that individual mutations become less important. Interestingly, in this novel approach, which is called immunotherapy, having more mutations, cancers with more mutations, are actually more easily attacked and leading to better treatment outcomes and better patient prognosis.
Let me explain with an analogy from the digital revolution. Cybersecurity. Similarly to cancer, that naturally occurs when more complex organisms evolve and live longer, computers nowadays that are just anywhere in our lives are naturally susceptible for cyber attacks. Interestingly, computer viruses, worms, and other kinds of malware have some sort of a trade-off between being more harmful, making more changes, more mutations to the system, and being exposed to cybersecurity means. Going back to cancer, those cancers that have many, many mutations are actually more visible to immune system and immune therapy.
A few years ago, this would have sounded like science fiction, but nowadays these are actually therapies that are saving people's lives.
Elad Jacobi. Elad can give fantastic explanation on why cancer is a disease of the genome, as well as on immunotherapy.
Yes, he will. Okay, and I'll come back next week for another Spotlight session.
Well, actually, no. This has been our last Spotlight session, at least in this course.
You're kidding me. Wow, I really enjoy doing these sessions with you and the lectures. I'm going to miss it.
Same here. But good, we are done now, so finally we can order some coffee. Waiter?